Hey everyone, it's Joy here, and I'm excited to share 3 cards I made for you today using the Bitty Borders stamp and coordinating die. Now here are the products that I'm using. This is the Bitty Borders stamp set. Then I'm using the Rainbow Repeat Stencil, the Skinny Mini Party Borders, Oh My Word Hello stamp and die, foam sticky strips, the Frame and Frame 2 cutting plate. I am using lemon meringue, confetti cake, Oreo and VersaMark inks. I am using white rhinestones, hearts, and gold drip drops. And then for my cardstock, I'm using confetti cake, Oreo, and sugar cube. I'm using some gold embossing powder, some multimedia matte liquid glue, blender brush, Copic markers, Pixie Spray. I've got my grid paper, and I'm also using acetate. Now here are the 3 images that I'm using from the Bitty Borders stamp set. I'm placing that in my MISTI on a piece of sugar cube cardstock. I am removing my foam insert in my MISTI because these are red rubber stamps, so they're thicker. I'm going to ink these up with Oreo ink and stamp them a couple times to get a really good crisp image. This is Copic friendly ink, and I'm going to be doing some Copic coloring. So I've got the cute little houses here, and I love that everything is in like a trio if you look at these stamps, which is really super cute. I think the candles have more in them, but everything else is kind of a trio. But I've got these really cute houses, and I wanted to go with a red, a turquoise, and a yellow for this design. And so I'm just laying down my light color, coming in with my dark color to add some shadows. Then my medium color, I blend out from the dark into the light, and then I come back with the light color all the way and blend that. So as I was coloring these houses, I actually started coloring the roof, and my Copic marker bled all over my whole image. So I stamped to do one, colored it, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to color the roof. So here's the new image I had to color, and I'm coming in with some dark gray colors, the C markers. So it's like C6, 8, and 10, or no, C4, 6, and 8, excuse me. And then I'm coloring the cute little green bushes by the houses, which I think is really a cute little scene. Now we've got this cake and 2 cupcakes, so I'm coming in and coloring the plates in a fun turquoise color. That big piece of cake is going to be a chocolate cake. I'm going to have a strawberry frosting and a white frosting on these. I'm coming in with some yellow for the cupcake holders, coloring this cute little cherry and that heart with red. For the white frosting, I'm going to come in with a light gray marker just because I want to add a little bit of shadow, but if I left it blank, it wouldn't actually look like it was colored, if that makes sense. For the chocolate cake, I'm using a lighter brown combination, and then for the frosting, a darker brown combination. So you can see a slight difference in variation between the frosting and the cake. Then for the other cupcake, I'm going to come in and do some pink frosting and give that a nice, yummy looking little color. So then I'm going to come in and color the cute sunshine and rainbows. The 2 rainbows are going to be exactly the same. You've got this cute little sunshine in the center with a sweet little face. So I'm just going to color him a fun yellow. And then I'm coming in for the rainbows, and I'm doing red, orange, yellow, green, and blue. And I'm just going to do the same thing of lay down my light color, add some darker shadows on the outside of the edges with the darkest color, come in with that middle color and blend it out a little bit, and then come in with the lightest color and go over the whole thing one more time. And sometimes I do that a few times to get the desired look that I am looking for. I added a little bit of teal color at the bottom, I believe it was BG10, where the clouds are, which I think is really, really cute. I'm going to use the coordinating dies to cut these out, which I think is really fantastic. I love a coordinating die. I'm going to cut out these images, and then we're going to get these 3 cards put together. Now here's my first card. This is the Frame and Frame 2 cutting plate. That's the smallest frame that I'm using, and we are going to make a shaker card, and I have die cut that from Confetti Cake cardstock, and you can see how that little frame looks. It's really super dainty and cute. So I have my piece of sugar cube cardstock, and I'm coming in with the Rainbow Repeat Stencil, and I'm going to be using lemon meringue ink and a blender brush, and I am just doing this ever so lightly. I actually did spray my stencil with the Pixie Spray, waited about a minute, and then adhered that down because this has a lot of fine lines. You definitely need the Pixie Spray for that. I'm adding a little bit of liquid glue behind my frame, and I'm going to adhere that to a piece of acetate, and then I will just trim around the frame to get the acetate to the right size. I'm going to use some foam sticky strips behind my frame because we want this to be tall. You only need one layer of this, but we want this to be tall so all of our shaker bits will just shake freely. We're going to use some white rhinestones and some white hearts. I am making sure all the foam tape touches each other so nothing falls out. Now I'm going to just use my powder tool and run it around the edges so my confetti does not stick to my foam sticky strips. I did peel back the release paper. I'm just laying it out so I can see where I want to put my bits. I'm coming in with the smallest and the medium of the white rhinestones, making sure they're face up. I don't want them to flip over. I want that shiny side face up. And then I'm going to add a few of the white hearts from this cute little, there's red hearts, there's white hearts, there's pink hearts, cute little collection, but I'm just going to use the white hearts. I'm going to line that up one more time, and then I decided I needed a few more of the rhinestones, and I actually placed 3 larger rhinestones in there and a few smaller ones. Then I'm going to put my frame over top and just press that down in place. Now I'm going to adhere my rainbow to that. I'm going to add a little bit of liquid glue, and I'm actually just going to center it in the opening. You could line it up at the bottom if you wanted, but I wanted to be able to see the shaker bits at the bottom even when you weren't shaking it. I'm going to stamp the sentiment which says Sending Sunshine, and that is from the Bitty Border stamp set, and I'm just going to tuck that underneath the frame there and adhere that. I did adhere this to a sugar cube card base and trimmed down that background just a little bit so it has about 1/4 inch white frame around, and I'm going to adhere down some white rhinestones. I'm going to come back later and add a few more details to this card, but now we're going to go to the second card. I have die cut the Oh My Word Hello die from Oreo cardstock 3 times, and I'm going to glue that together. I'm doing that because it gives it dimension. You also could just add some foam sticky strips behind that if you wanted to do dimension that way. I'm going to stamp the sentiment using some confetti cake ink, and this says From Our House to Yours, and I'm going to stamp that underneath where my house little house grouping is going to be. So I stamped that a few times to get a good crisp image, and I did trim this sugar cube cardstock panel down about 1/4 inch on all sides. I'm adding some foam sticky strips behind the house, and I'm going to line that up right above the sentiment. Then I'm going to add some liquid glue behind the hello and just tuck that in under or behind the houses, kind of at the top. So everything is kind of cute and clustered together. And then I'm going to add this panel to a confetti cake card panel and then a white card base. I'm going to add a few of the white rhinestones around, and then we'll come back and add some more details when I'm done with that. Now we're going to go on to the third card here. So I have die cut more of those frames, the frame and frame 2 cutting plate, and this is the second largest size. I die cut that 3 times from sugar cube cardstock. I'm going to glue 2 of those together, and you're going to see what we do with these cute little banners here. I am going to die cut those from some white cardstock. Then we're going to come in and use some VersaMark ink and ink it up and just sprinkle on some gold embossing powder. I'm just using some tweezers to grab those. And I'm going to hold those with my tweezers so my fingers don't get hot, and then I'm going to heat that through with my heat gun until it's nice and melted. Now, like I said, I glued 2 of those frames together. I'm going to adhere these banner pieces or these borders along the top. Then I will glue the 3rd frame on top of that, so it's kind of sandwiched between. So these are from the Skinny Mini Party Borders. And I just think they're so darling, and with that pop of gold makes this design really a lot of fun and a little bit elegant. So now that those are done being glued down, I'm going to trim the excess off, and then I'm going to come in with that 3rd border and adhere that right on top. So like I said, those borders are going to be sandwiched between the frames. Now I'm going to add some foam sticky strips behind that and remove the release paper. And I've got that cute little cluster of cakes, and I'm actually just going to adhere that to the back right on a piece of the foam sticky tape, because then I know that's lined up perfectly with my frame. I don't have to worry about lining that up inside. I'm adding a little bit of liquid glue behind the cakes to make sure they stay in place. I'm centering that in my confetti cake card panel, which is trimmed down 1/8 inch on all sides. Now I'm going to come in and stamp the sentiment, and it says, "It's your day," and I'm going to stamp that with Oreo ink. I'm lining that up in my card panel. I'm going to remove that, stamp it onto my grid paper to make sure that it's straight. It wasn't, so I just adjusted that a little bit and then stamped it again. Third time's the charm. Stamped it last time, and now it's perfect. I'm going to put my card panel back in, ink it up, and stamp my image. Again, I'm using Oreo ink for this. And then I'm going to come in with the gold drip drops and add a few of those around, and I have already had this adhered to a sugar cube card base. Now that I'm done with that, I'm going to come in and add some details. You know, I like my white gel pen, so I'm going to add some details to the plates, to the frosting on the cake, on the chocolate cake, and some frosting on that pink cupcake. Some highlights to the house, on the roof, a little bit around each house. It just really adds a lot of character to your images. Add a few highlights to the sun and the rainbows, and then these 3 cards are completely finished. And look at that cute little shaker card. I love these bitty borders. You get the whole scene in one little tiny stamp, which I think is really super cute. And then we've got this great little house card I think is fun for new neighbors or even friends that are moving. And then you've got a great birthday card. Thank you guys so very much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this project. You can find all of these products at the Tailored Expressions web store at tailoredexpressions.com.